Hello everyone, this is Josue Tirado from the Tirado Home Group. I'm looking forward to this topic today. Probably one of the most asked about topics right now. Are we in a housing bubble? I'm starting to see this question pop out a lot from different industry leaders and different people running companies. So this is what I'm going to address and give you all the information that you need so that you're in a better position when it comes to making a decision on whether you're buying or selling a home. Once again, thank you for joining me. Let us know where you're watching from, and are you getting the question, are we in a housing bubble? Are you feeling like we are? So many shifting going on in the market right now, so many questions. I do want to ask you this. Go ahead and share this broadcast and tag someone if you had that discussion with them. Tag someone who you think is concerned about this or has had the conversation, because we're going to go deep into the numbers as far as what's going on in the country. All right, I'm going to start off this way. The question, are we in a housing bubble? If you really think about it, the underlying thought for sellers and buyers are the values of the home that I have or I'm going to purchase going to start to plummet down? We certainly had a frothy market for quite some time, and the frenzy in this market has really put a lot of anxiety and stress in people. So the people are saying that they're concerned right now, so I want to make sure that we address and validate these concerns. So let's go over the slides. Let's go ahead and take a look at this slide from CoreLogic that goes year over year price appreciation percentages. And it shows that basically the values of people's homes are accelerating at a very rapid rate. As you can see from January 2021 in a year over year price appreciation, that would mean it's being compared to January of 2020, there was a 10% increase. And you can see how it was gradually starting to increase dramatically, even all the way up to May at a 15.4% increase, which can actually scare both buyers and sellers for the fact that they feel rises going up too fast. So, what are some concerns when they see rapid rates? Well, in the perspective of a housing bubble, they're thinking about whether there's going to be risky loans that are being offered out. And chief economist from CoreLogic states there are marked differences in today's run-up in prices compared to 2005, which was a bubble fueled by risky loans and lenient underwriting. Today's loans with higher risk features are absent, and mortgage underwriting is prudent. Now, we know this as industry leaders and for those that are in the real estate market, but this is not necessarily known by the consumers, those that are buying and selling. And this is why we should probably take a look at the default risk in mortgages. Now, the Urban Institute made this graph on default risk in the mortgage market from 1999 to 2020. And you can see that product risk was pretty high going from 1999 all the way up to 2007 and 2008. You can see that once the lending guidelines have changed past post 2007, how dramatic the product risk and borrow risk has dropped way below the reasonable lending standards. And basically, this also aligns into why we do our visual inspections on homes to see potential red flags in which a home may or may not qualify for a federally backed mortgage loan product. Or we also see in a buyer's perspective when we see a pre-approval versus an underwritten approval, we are calculating the strengths and also their risk when it comes to placing in an offer. The Joint Center of Housing Studies at Harvard University stated that these outsized increases have raised concerns that a home price bubble is emerging. However, conditions today are quite different than in the early 2000s, particularly in the terms of credit availability. The current climb in house prices instead reflects a strong demand amid tight supply, helping along by record low interest rates. So let's go ahead and take a look at the mortgage credit availability index. So basically the higher the number, basically the higher credit available, it was easier to qualify for a loan. As you can see during the housing bubble, it was at 868.7. There was a lot of credit available for people to qualify for a loan. making it a lot easier compared to today at 129.9. But what about mortgage debt? Isn't that increasing, and shouldn't we be concerned about that? So let's take a look at the household debt service ratio for mortgages as a percentage of disposable personal income. And how that's calculated is the total quarterly required mortgage payments divided by the total quarterly disposable personal income. And let's go back in time, all the way back to 1980. You can see that during that time, in their first quarter, it was at 4.38%. In 1991, it went up to 6.22%, then 1998, 5.46. But during the housing bubble, it was at a record high 7.21%. Now, today's standards, we're at 3.45%, way below 1980. This means that homes that were recently purchased were purchased within their means. What about home equity and the housing bubble? Well, equity was an issue because there was a lack of it during the last crash. And that was a tremendous challenge for so many people. Let's look at this Black Knight study of tappable equity in the US mortgage holders. You can see that they're surging in the billions. During the crash, we were sitting about $4 or $5 trillion of tappable equity throughout the country, as opposed to today, where we're sitting around $8 trillion, considerably more than what we have seen at the height of the housing crisis. Now, what do we know? Since the crash, people have handled equity differently. People have learned from their mistakes and are making better decisions. And we can see it here where home equity has skyrocketed. You can see current average equities of mortgaged homes is 216,000. An average gain in equity of mortgaged homes up to 33,400. The reality is, if you ask experts if we're in a housing bubble, the experts will say no. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley manage more money in this country, in fact, more money in the world than any other company out there. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they're giving their clients the right information. So I think it's really important to read these. JP Morgan says, those who remember the housing bubble of 2006 and 7 may be nervous watching the US housing prices soar now. But the previous bubble was fueled by speculative buying, which we do not think is the case today. Goldman Sachs says consumer surveys indicate that the household buying intentions are now at the highest in 20 years. As a result, the model projects double-digit price gains both this year and next. Morgan Stanley says, we have strong convictions that we are not experiencing a bubble in the U.S. housing. We are not at all suggesting that the home price appreciation will maintain its current toward pace. Home prices will continue to rise, but more gradually. So are we in a housing bubble? Absolutely not. It's a supply and demand issue. Now I'll start off here with Sam Cater from Freddie Mac. The main driver of the housing shortfall has been the long-term decline in the construction of single-family homes. You can see here in the census graph that 13 years below the 50-year average of units completed. And that basically tells you that there's not enough homes in the market right now that are being built. In fact, in the 70s, you can see that more homes were built then than the last past 10 years. Now, builders are trying to build, but they have labor, lumber, and land issues that they have to address. But that gap has not really been keeping up with population growth throughout the country. This low supply of homes available only increases the pool of buyers that are constantly going into the market. Now, here's another issue provided by First American. Prior to 2008, people were staying in their home for an average of 5 years. From 2008 to 2016, that went up to 8 years. As compared to today, they're staying in for an average of 10.6 years. So new construction inventory is down, and the resale market, sellers are holding on to their homes even longer, making for even a lower inventory pool. Now I'm going to end my last slide with Bill McBride, as he's the one that runs Calculated Risk, and he predicted the last crash. And he said, it's not clear to me at all that things are going to slow down significantly in the near future. In 2005, I had a strong sense that the hot market would turn, and that when it churned, things would get very ugly. Today, I don't have that sense at all. because of all the fundamentals are there. Demand will be high for a while because millennials need houses. Prices will keep rising for a while because inventory is low. So, if you made it this far, I want to thank you, and I want to finish with this quote. In the times of uncertainty, people will follow the certain. And there is some certain information that I just provided you and that you can follow. If you're looking to sell your home fast and get the top of the market value, reach out to us. If you're looking to buy and have a buyer's advantage that the rest of the market does not have, reach out to us as well. My contact information is listed below. I'm Josue Tirado from the Tirado Home Group. I'm your real estate advisor, consultant, and power negotiator. Thank you, and talk to you soon.